Good evening, everyone. I'm John Henderson, your host, and this is Cryptid Studies Radio, and we are here live once again. Tonight with me, as always, is my co-host and son, Elijah Henderson. Elijah, are you with us?
I'm with y'all. How you doing?
I'm doing good. A little tired again, but hey, any day above ground is a good one.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you.
Well, tonight we have a very fascinating guest, one that when I first started getting into the Dogman phenomenon, I listened to over and over. He was on the Venomous Fringe radio show, 10 Tales of Dogman, and I believe he's the founder and director of the North American Dogman Project, Mr. Joedy Cook. He'll be with us in just a moment. That is correct, isn't it right, Elijah?
Absolutely right. He's one of the founders, and he should be on in just a moment.
Well, very good. You know, I'm looking forward to talking about him. If you've never heard this man, he's got some very fascinating stories to tell.
Oh, absolutely. And we also got Jason on with us. Jason, can you hear us?
I hear you loud and clear.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How about you?
All doing pretty well.
Well, you had some exciting news recently. I understand you took a little trip.
Oh, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I went to my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live in Vivian, Louisiana, which is right up in the corner of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas. So that's only about maybe 20 miles from Falk. So we took a little road trip and went up there to the Monster Mart where they have a little museum type deal in that store, all about the Falk monster. So that was pretty interesting to get to see that area and all that terrain and Caddo Lake and all those places and actually cross over Boggy Creek and it was pretty cool.
I bet that was an awesome time.
Absolutely, sounds amazing.
Yeah, that little museum they have there is pretty cool. I was with some people that they weren't really interested in that type of thing, so I wish I could have spent a little more time there. But they got a lot of old newspaper clippings, and I took a picture of a couple of footprint casts they have there. But there's really a lot to see and a lot to that story.
Yes, I bet there is a lot to hear from it. So have you been working on anything new while we wait on Joedy to call in?
Well, I have a few stories from Mississippi, and I have one from West Virginia. A guy I work with shared a story with me. But the three out of Mississippi, I found out one person is actually my nephew, and the other person is somebody that I went to school with, and all three of these sightings happened within 5 miles of each other.
Well, that's awesome. Maybe we should have you back on the show to tell us specifically about those one day. Since Joedy is in the switch room ready to converse with us. If you'd like to do that, would you be interested in doing that, Jason?
Sure, that'd be cool. That'd probably make a whole show, just those stories.
I would love to hear those. Well, guys, let's welcome Joedy to the show.
How you doing? Are you there?
Hey, yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Joedy?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Man, been looking forward to this conversation with you.
Thank you.
We, not recently, but within the last year, I really became fascinated with this Dogman phenomenon. And one of the first things that I heard or listened to was you on the Venomous Fringe on 10 Tales of Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just an incredible storyteller.
Yeah, it's an interesting, subject. It's, the Dogman, Dogman phenomenon right now is like the next big cryptid. It's really odd because like a lot of these shows, these paranormal shows that had some Dogman stuff on it, actually those are always been like the highest rating shows. Even when I think it was Paranormal Survivor did 2 different episodes, one on called the Wolf Pack and one called The Cabin, which both dealt with, Dogman type werewolf things. And those 2 shows alone were a higher rating than any other show that they did. Even though Terror in the Woods, when they did their Dogman episode with one of our team members, Dave Leedy, that was their highest rating show, was that particular show right there.
Is that
people are fascinated with it.
Is that the one that took place in North Carolina, I believe it was?
North Carolina, yeah.
There in the swamp?
It was in the woods, out there. The area has had a lot of sightings. The people in the community out there knew that there's something out there. And Dave talks about it a little bit on the show where you would see guys standing around with guns and dogs and stuff. People knew what's going on. And we have communities like that, around the country where they know, that there's something there. And it's like their little town secret. Give you a perfect example here in Ohio, Germantown, Ohio. That small town, everybody in that town knows that there's something there, going all the way back from the 70s. And they used to call it the Butter Street Monster. And it's, described as, a werewolf, like your typical Van Helsing style werewolf. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. And everybody in the community knows it. Everybody knows about the creature. They see it. It's nothing uncommon. The police know about it. The police get a lot of calls on it. A lot of DNR in the area. We've been chased out of particular areas up there, by the DNR on investigations, and it got to the point where the police department basically built a facility out in the middle of the woods where majority of all the sightings are taking place, and for them to do that for a small little community, with only 6 police officers to put a facility up with cameras around, I mean, they're aware of something there.
Germantown, Ohio. It had to be a place I had to visit.
Yeah, it's a neat little place. It's farmland, a lot of corn. So
I know that there's another little community. I listen to a show called The Supernaturalist a lot, and he's got a story on there about some place called Dogman Town, and that's a pretty interesting story if you ever listen to that one too. Apparently the whole town has got a problem with them.
A lot of the communities are like that. Like I said, give you an example. Another one, Land Between the Lakes. Okay,
that's right in my backyard almost.
Right. And we've been down there quite a few times. I've been down there, numerous times throughout the years, going all the way back to '87, and that's when I heard about the massacre the first time was in 1987. And the people in the community there, they know about it. I mean, they'll tell you straight out. Don't tell anybody that you're from out of town. Don't stay at the local hotels. And, because the people in the community there, they truly believe that there is a community or a pack of people that can transform into werewolves. And they're the ones doing all the feeding in the park. And people who are missing, who stay at hotels and things like that. We never really confirmed that there's a connection there. I mean, I've heard it from a couple other different investigators who live down in that area. Said, yeah, this is, people believe this. They are people missing. They believe that this is a clan that's been here since, the American Revolution, and they feed in the park. But they've had a lot of people missing in that park. So
I've heard that story before. I can never seem to get a name of who they think this clan is, but I've heard that there's a family down there they believe is wolves.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the people in the community truly believe it. My thing is, I don't believe in transformation. Okay, I think it would physically kill somebody. I mean, your bones would literally have to be cartilage in order to transform. I don't think a human can actually live through a transformation. I mean, it would destroy your organs, your body. Like I said, your bones, would have to be, cartilage in order to stretch and grow and things like that. But, it could be a community of people who believe that they're werewolves. In Louisiana, perfect example there too. You have communities there that believe that they're werewolves, and you have communities that believe that they're vampires.
Yes.
Down, in Louisiana, and they have their little turf wars and things like that, and they take this stuff very serious.
Yeah, I can see how they would. We go down to Landpoint Lake a lot, and we've had some pretty bizarre things happen. I mean, one night we were down there, and this deer ran out in the road and was standing there. It wouldn't move out of the way for the car. It was more concerned about whatever was behind it. It kept looking over its shoulder, and it would rather take a risk of getting hit by the car than to get out of the way and move.
It's deeply concerned.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bigfoot down there, and LBL area. There's a road like 22 that runs that like separates north and south, and it seems like the majority of the Bigfoot sightings are down south of 22 and all the Dogman stuff.
The Dogman are up north.
Up north, yeah, and every once in a while you'll get reports of a sighting in the south and of a Dogman, a sighting up north of a Bigfoot. I mean, I found Bigfoot tracks on the northern part before, down there at LBL. So we know that they're,
Are you
they're definitely
familiar with where the horse ranch is?
Down there in LBL? Yeah.
Yes. Now, I found a Bigfoot track not far from the horse ranch.
Yeah. There's that's
kind of about middle of the road, midways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like middle part there. It's even where the buffalo area is, where where they keep the buffalo or the bison rather, and stuff. There's been both Dogman and Bigfoot prints ever there. Even sightings. They've even had bison missing in there at LBL. And what's so odd about it is that you can talk to the people there, and they'll act like they have no idea what's going on. And it's like everybody there knows what's going on at LBL. We when we was working on our documentary, we talked to some people at the gift shop there, and they're like, "Oh, don't know what you're talking about," laughing it off. And excuse me, we were in the parking lot, and one of them actually came out and said, "Look, we're not allowed to talk. They give us strict orders not to talk." But they were sightings in these particular two areas. You might want to go check those out, but we're just not allowed to talk about it at all.
Right. Wow. Yeah, we watched the documentary. We bought it.
And Wisconsin werewolf
information there.
Yeah, we wish we could have done a little bit better job on it. We oh my God, I'm gonna tell you what, that documentary. We've had so much trouble with it. We had like 25 of them that were bought that never made it to the people who bought them. Even with tracking.
I wonder why that is.
It stopped at the city. I mean, I can see one or two coming up missing, but when you have 25 unaccountable for, where it made it to the post office in the city, but it was never delivered from the post office. And because we had a guy in there who passed away, who gave a deathbed confession of a sighting that he had of one killing two people in 1979.
That predates the family that was supposedly massacred.
Yeah, the family would have been killed in 82, 83. And I heard about it in 87. I was a deputy sheriff at the time, and there was a police seminar in Louisville. And I remember going down there for the seminar, and then I met a couple of different officers from, around Kentucky there, and a couple of them were state troopers. And we were, sitting around at a bar afterwards just talking and just telling different, police stories. And the one told us about, this massacre took place down there, and he responded down there. And, but his story did not have the little boy in the story. It had the little girl. But throughout the years, talking with other officers that were there, the stories are somewhat the same, but they're a little bit different. And the problem with that is that there are so many jurisdictions down there coming and going, and they were only getting part of the story of what actually happened. The FBI was there. They were there on site. And most of the oh, I'm so sorry. Like I had bronchitis really bad in my coffee.
Oh, you're good.
And
yeah, you're fine, man.
The FBI was there on site, and on the fact that a child was missing, they were definitely there. But no one said they seen them. But they would have been called in, with a missing child. And this was federal land, so they would have been called in, regardless. But not all the time do they wear suit and ties. That late at night, they were probably coming, from their home, and they would wear civilian clothes. But there was 4 different coroners from different jurisdictions that were on site there. And the thing of it is, throughout the years, I've talked to about 4 different Kentucky state troopers who stated that they were there at the incident, and they took me, all 4 of them, and like I said, this is, through, a 20-year span, all took me to the same location of where it happened.
And I bet it's the location that's real close to the bunkers, isn't it?
No, actually, it's not. It's right along the lake. It's the first camping area right when you come in to LBL.
Yeah, on the north end.
Yeah, on the north end.
You go past that little cemetery and down in there, and there's little concrete bunkers off to the
little concrete
right-hand
bunker is off to the right there. But if you make that straight, but if you make that right to go down, it goes right into a little camp area right there by the lake.
Right there at the bottom. And there used to be like a house or some kind of little building there because there's a foundation.
That was there. That was tore down, and every one of them took us to that site. There's a couple investigators that said it was at the old trailer camping area, but I've got a map of it doesn't, because I have a map of LBL that was dated 1980. So this would have took place prior to the massacre when this map was printed, and there's no RV parking at that location.
We were down at the site that we're talking about earlier.
Yeah,
it was about October last year, and around 3:00 in the morning, we were blowing a dog whistle and got some pretty weird hollers from something doggish off from across that lake.
Mm-hmm. Sound like barking across that river.
But but what's so weird? I mean, when we were down there at the bunkers, one of the bunkers, I mean, we seen women by themselves just running, and jogging them trails, guys on bikes, and we would stop them and say, have you seen anything? And these people have been there, 2-3 years doing it, and said they've never seen anything, so, maybe they have, maybe they haven't, who knows, but, people have seen things, maybe they don't go near the trail because they know they're active, and the bunkers are another thing that's really odd. Why are they there? I mean, there's just one entrance in and one entrance out. Some of the bunkers have no entrance whatsoever. You know,
Just
and you're
got
like wondering.
a slab on top of them.
Yeah, it has a slab. I mean, they're really odd. You know, why were these things there? And the official reason why they're there for the Park Service is that if you're out and a storm comes, you can go in there for shelter.
Yeah, but you can't if there's no door into it.
Yeah, you know, but they were all built after, 1963 when Kennedy, kicked that. And that's another thing. Why would he take this area and boot everybody out of it and build the lakes around it?
Well, I heard he was trying to contain something there.
Yeah, there was something there that was, that they definitely wanted to contain. And that's the truth, because I think those bunkers were there for a reason, to capture whatever is out there. And they just weren't working, or if they were working, they were able to get out, and they just were basically abandoned. It just doesn't make sense. A lot of people see military there. Yeah, you're going to, because Fort Campbell is right there. And Fort Campbell uses that area a lot. I know. I was stationed at Fort Campbell, so I know they use it. And people were saying that their military's coming in and they're capturing stuff. No, they're not. I'm telling you, they're not. They're there because they're doing military exercises, because they use that area, to do exercises. The military's not going to be part of some cover up on going after a Dogman.
No, there'd be somebody else doing that.
It would be a private contract company, of prior military people that would go and do that type of work. They would be black ops and.
Go ahead, finish your story.
Oh no, I'm going to say they would be some type of black op that would not answer to anybody. The military is accountable. They would have to answer to somebody, and trust me, people in the military, they talk. Okay, they talk, because they're not getting paid a whole lot of money, so they're going to talk. These guys who are doing contract security, they're getting paid damn good money, and they're going to shut their mouth. That's the difference.
I agree. Now, I'm going to tell you, we were down there in the park one night at one of the really obscure cemeteries, away from everything. There was nothing for miles around anywhere. But yet we kept hearing like big, heavy earth-moving equipment somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But there was none anywhere, so I wondered if they were doing something under the ground.
There's rumors, and I've talked to people that swear that there's an underground facility there at Lane Between the Lakes. There's something about that area, why the government took it over, booted everybody out and there's something there. Is a Dogman, and here's the thing, what we're the North American Dogman Project, we get a lot of really good stories, and we did a podcast one night where we talked about, what do you think Dogman is? Do you think it's flesh and blood, extraterrestrial, or supernatural? And the majority of people believe that there's a supernatural look at this, but there's also a big extraterrestrial part of Dogman. Okay, we are getting lots and lots of reports from military personnel who has had contact with these things. We just got a couple reports from Canadian soldiers that seen these things in Afghanistan, and they talk about, and even the U.S. soldiers have even said this, who were in Afghanistan, and who was in Iraq, as well as hot spots in South America, talking about these things wearing some type of a body armor, and the head is very much like a wolf. They're a predator type animal, and they're killing people. So far, the only story we ever got where American soldiers actually were in combat with these things was in South America. Now, the Canadians and the U.S. troops that saw them in Afghanistan and saw them in Iraq, they were always in some type of conflict with the insurgents, where they observed this stuff going on. One of the cases in Iraq was, these guys from the 82nd Airborne, and this had to have been Baghdad, what they're talking about, because I was in Iraq, and Camp Victory's in Iraq, and the 82nd Airborne spent majority of its time in Baghdad. So it had to have been Baghdad that they're talking about, where they observed this werewolf taking out insurgents. I mean, they sat there and watched this thing through, night vision on the street. There was an insurgent team that was coming, and they said this thing came out of nowhere and just ripped them apart.
These things are near impossible to put down, too, aren't they?
Well, we've heard a lot of stories where people have shot them, and it didn't take them down. And my theory is that, whenever you talk about Dogman, people give a description, they always talk about their chest being massive. And I think that their sternum much wider. I'm talking maybe 12 inches wide, and probably 3 inches thick. Okay? Ours is, I think, only like an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches wide. I think they're much larger.
Like almost cartilage, too.
Yeah. Well, that's the bottom part of it. I'm talking about the front part of the rib cage.
Oh, right up where the ribs actually connect.
Yeah, where the ribs actually connect. I think theirs, like I said, is maybe 10, 12 inches across. And it covers up the vital organs, so it's able to take a hit. I that's what I believe. And that's when people hit it absorbs.
Sounds like a very high possibility.
Yeah, it absorbs the shot. Dave Lady shot one at point blank range in the chest twice, and he said it didn't go down, and that was with a .357 Magnum.
That's a big gun,
and that's a big gun, And we just got a report from a guy in Utah that was hunting, and he had a what was that? 3 something Winchester round. I can't remember what off the top of my head. Blackout or something like that. Some big round, about the size of a 30-06. And that's the weapon he had. And he saw some deer, 3 deer in high grass. And he said all of a sudden they just stopped. 2 of them booked. 1 went down to the ground. And he saw this thing come out of the wood line. He said the first thing I thought it was a moose without the antlers. He said that was my first impression. He said it was that big. It came in off there on all fours. And he said then it stood up on 2 legs and started walking through the high grass, sniffing like he was trying to find the deer or even picked up his scent. But what he said was so unique about this thing was battle worn. He said that the right lip, top lip, was missing, where you saw the tooth like it got bit off. He said the right eye was missing, where this thing got into a fight with something. And he said there was a bite mark on the shoulder. It was right below the shoulder. I'm sorry, right below the shoulder. But he said it looked like it was round, like a human, not V or U like a dog would. And he said it looked like a human bite, but he said it was massive on the chest. And he said the only thing he could thought of was this thing must have gotten in a fight with a Bigfoot or something, and Bigfoot bit it, because he was able to see. I mean, he was looking through his scope. He's able to see perfect this thing. And we had a artist did the drawing of what he saw, and I'm telling you, this thing is, it's dead on to what he saw. He said it scared the hell out of him when he saw the drawing. It was that close.
Wow.
Yeah. You got that on the website?
I don't think it's on the website, but I think I have it. I can probably send it to you guys either through.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
It's a unique picture. They put a lot of time and effort in doing this, and he said it was exact. what happened. And you know, another story that came out of Utah also is that there was a woman that they knew that the community had like maybe 5 houses in it. It was in an open area, a little community, and the people always knew that there was a Bigfoot there. They've seen the Bigfoot. They knew it was there. They've heard it, but it never ever did any harm to their livestock or to, you know, anybody in the thing there. So one night, something attacked the horses, and they knew it wasn't, you know, Bigfoot, but they attacked the horses, scraped them up really bad. She sent us pictures of what this thing did to the horses. Really, I mean, really sad what this thing did. And one night they said they heard screaming. They heard the Bigfoot because they recognized the Bigfoot scream. But this thing was fighting something else in the woods, and they didn't know what it was. But the screaming of it, they never recognized what type of screaming. And they also heard, like, howls. And all of a sudden, the Bigfoot's not seen anymore. And people's livestock are being attacked. And this woman's daughter saw something crawl along the corral where the horses were. And she drew the picture, and this thing's, I mean, it looks like a dog crawling, you know, of what the kid, saw there. So what happened was she went into the wood line the following day to see if she can see any tracks or anything. So she saw a doe that laying there, and the reproduction organs were ripped out, along with the throat. So she's an animal, fanatic and stuff. So what she ended up doing was went to go get a shovel to bury the animal, and when just gone maybe 10 minutes, it's gone. It's not there anymore. So about 2 days later, she goes back out to the woods to see if she can find it, and it's laying in the same exact spot where she saw it the first time. She goes, gets the shovel again. It's gone. So her husband goes out a little bit later to look for it, and he finds it. And he goes, gets the shovel, and it's gone. Whatever it is, this thing is playing with the people in the community. I mean, this thing is intelligent. They know
they seem to be malicious too.
Yeah,
that thing's devious.
The thing of it is, I believe that that Dogman, he is flesh and blood, but he's also, I think, supernatural, because if you look at the Skinwalker Ranch, people are seeing a lot of these large canines. I've talked to guys out there. There's actually a friend of mine that's doing a documentary on it right now, and he saw a orb come right towards him, and he said it turned into like a dire wolf, and it kind of walked up to him a little bit. I'm sorry?
That's interesting.
Yeah, and he said it turned back into an orb. They're seeing a lot of these things. I mean, especially outside of the ranch, there's just as much activity going on outside of the ranch as there is inside of the ranch.
Now, have you ever got Go ahead, Elijah.
I was just saying, just a whole lot of stuff in that little region.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done a lot of research into an area close to us called Werewolf Springs?
No, actually, this is. I'm trying to think. That's eastern part of going east on Kentucky side, right?
No, it's in Tennessee.
Okay. No, I'm not familiar
We're right
with
here
that.
at Fort Campbell. Yeah, it's down in Dixon County.
Okay, so it's south of you. I thought it was like east of you.
I was
No.
just curious if you'd ever heard of it.
No, actually, I've never heard of it. We've done a lot of stuff in Kentucky, but but there again, like I said, it's probably one of those small little communities that where the name is there, and a lot of stuff don't come out because trust me, we're dealing with that. There's a lot of communities out there that's seeing stuff, through generation, and it's just it doesn't leave the area.
I think people are either embarrassed that people will think that they're making it up, or worried that it'll give their town a stigma.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think what a lot of it is, they just don't want outsiders coming in. LBL's like that. The people in the community there, they don't like people coming in. Coming in looking for this thing. We
Joedy?
find, yeah.
Hey, this is Jason. I just had a question about the case that happened in LBL. I know you were kind of on top of that back in the 80s, but how soon did it really become public knowledge that the public really thought that there wasn't something not right about this case? Was that almost immediate, or did it take a little time?
No, actually, like I said, I heard about it in 1987, and I did not hear about it again until, oh my God, 10 years later is actually when I start hearing a lot more of what was going on there. It's like the one story where, the guy who worked for Fish and Game, we just found out about that, last year.
Yeah, please elaborate on that for us.
There's a guy that worked for Kentucky Fish and Game, and his job was to fill the lakes, okay? And this was in 1979, but he did not work at LBL. He lived down towards that area, but he would go fishing at LBL because LBL has a really good fishing area, and a lot of people fish there. And he goes there to fish, and he's gone there for years. And he was out in his boat about 4:30 in the morning. Goes, start fishing in this particular area, and about 7:30, I think he said, that he started to head back. There was a lot of fog that was on the river, or the lake rather, and so he's going really slow in his boat, and he's going along the shoreline. And he said that, when it's heavy fog, everybody normally goes along the shoreline. That way, if, they don't get hit by bigger boats that's out there. And he's coming up and he sees a campsite. And as he's coming up to the campsite, he sees something large there on all four legs. And he stated he thought it was a horse at first, until he's getting closer and the thing ends up standing up and walking over towards the tent. There was a tent there. He saw where the fire was. There was two chairs. There was a pickup truck that was parked there. And he said as he was just slowing down to get up to the area to get a really good look at this thing, he was able to see. He described it perfect. I mean, he said it looked like a hyena in the head. It had a tail. The legs were very dog-looking. The arms were very human-looking. It was massive, about 7 feet. He said it had like a mange almost around its neck and back of the head. He said kind of like a lion almost. It had a snout. It had high pointed ears, and he said I'd never seen anything like this. He said it was like a huge dog, but he said the face was more like a hyena. And he said at that time the two people were coming out of the tent, and he's yelling at them, look over there, and they're kind of like looking at him, like he was crazy, he said. And then he kept yelling at him, and he started cursing at him. And then they were still like, you're crazy. And he said all of a sudden this thing just pounced on the two people. He saw both of their hands went on to like their chest and just put them down on the ground. And he said this thing was just biting at me, screaming. He said, I'm sitting in my boat watching this. This thing ignored him the whole time. And he's watching these two people get killed, by this thing. And he said he urinated on himself. He was so scared. He said he just went into total shock, and he said he just drifted. And he said, I don't know how long I drifted for. I don't know. He says, I was just in a trance because it affected him so bad. And I asked him, I said, did you report it? And he goes, no, because everybody knew that there was something there. He said, I would either get fired reporting this thing, or they would have killed me. Because they knew
if they're trying to cover that thing up, they definitely wouldn't want him shouting about it.
Yeah, no. And he said, he never said nothing to his kids about it. And then when he found out he had cancer, and it was he had just a few months to live, and he was looking into the Dogman stuff. Him and his daughter, they were on Facebook. They found us on Facebook. His daughter contacted us and said, listen, my dad's got a story he wants to tell you guys. He's dying. And, he told us the story. And, he said it's just, we're like, okay, we don't know what to believe. So we sat down and interviewed him. And he didn't want his face shown, on the interview. He showed us his retirement ID card. He showed us tax forms. He showed us pay stubs. He showed us awards and certificates that he earned, to verify who he was, where he worked, that it was legit, and he told us the story. And
well,
I think
you were a cop.
Yeah,
so you're good with somebody if they're lying to you. Did he seem truthful to you?
Yeah, I mean, when he told us the story before we even filmed it, I mean, this guy's crying, and he was so worried about his family. Something happened to his family. He was crying so bad because it's like he had to live with this and couldn't say nothing for years, and he said it affected him. And he's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be accepted into heaven. I mean, he was serious, So he was very serious. I mean, this guy did not want anything. He didn't want no money. He didn't want anything. He had to tell the story to redeem himself to go to heaven. And that's beautiful. And this guy was a Christian man. I mean, he went to church. He volunteered for all this stuff, and I mean, at one point he felt that him getting cancer was punishment, and he truly believed it. And he died about a month after the we interviewed him talking about it, and we had to give him assurance that under any circumstances, we won't tell anybody who his family is, where he lives, anything to that effect. And I think the reason why we've had so much trouble with that DVD, I mean, what we're dealing with right now, people are buying the documentary and from Amazon, and because Amazon is the one that printed it, they're coming in with blank DVDs where nothing's on the DVD, or that section is, messed up where the guy gives the interview. I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, some of the stories that people are telling us who bought this thing, all the trouble that they're having, it's nuts. And it's like, I mean, it could be coincidence. It really could, but I mean, even our Wisconsin one we did on Wisconsin, we never had a trouble with that. This one dealing with LBL, I mean, we're having a lot of issues. Even
did you do the Wisconsin one too?
Huh?
Did you do the Wisconsin one too? Because I think we bought both of those at the same time.
Yeah, Wisconsin werewolf. Yeah, the Wisconsin werewolf. Yeah, I mean, the Wisconsin one's really good. I'm not happy with the LBL one. I think we could have done better. There was a lot of wind out there when we did it. We were trying to get it done real quick because we were talking at Scarefest about it, and we kind of did it real quick to get it done. And I think we could have done better, a lot better on it. But there's a major project that's going on right now that we're under contract. We can't talk about it, but there's something big that everybody in the Dogman community is going to love because there's going to be a lot of stuff dealing with the Dogman stuff across the United States, Canada, and around the world. And LBL is going to be one of the projects.
We're working on some stuff kind of like it too.
Yeah, I mean, we're under contract with a network.
Right.
So it's
I hope to see that.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Sounds pretty great.
It is. We've been working on this thing with them for quite a few months. Things are going really good with it. It's just when it's going to be ready to move, we don't know that part yet.
If we ever get back down to LBL, we'd love to get together with you and go look around with you guys.
Yeah, we're going to be heading back. Yeah, we're going to be heading back there real soon. When we get ready to do that particular project there, I'll keep you posted on it because,
You definitely want to check out Werewolf Springs too. Look into the legend there. If you start doing something about werewolves, you definitely want to look into it.
Yeah, send me. Well, the thing of it is, send me some information on it. But
send him a link to the thing we done, son, and he can watch that and see. They give him almost everything he needs to get started.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that might be something definitely good to look into. The thing with LBL, they know who we are. I mean, LBL. We did give an example, man. This is how ferocious LBL is. We were doing an investigation down there, and what happened was we had a team that got down there on site first, and the Rangers showed up in the area that we camped in. The guy that watches the area, takes care of it, was there with them. And the Rangers told the team that, listen, you cannot have anything on your vehicles stating who you are. You can't have any T-shirts on, no logo, anything with your logo on it, on a hat or anything. They said these are the only areas you're allowed to go into, and these areas you're not allowed to go into. And I'm like, you can't tell us. This is a public park. You can't tell us where we can or we can't go, because we're looking for the beasts of land between the lakes, and they're threatening to arrest us. So when we were leaving, the guy that handled the area said, this ain't me, guys. Okay, I got to go by what they say. I was told by the Rangers that anybody comes for your event were to send them away and tell them that it got canceled.
Now, was that your event that happened here about a year ago that it supposedly got rained out?
Yeah. It rained really bad, and we ended up canceling. Telling anybody not to come down because the area got flooded actually, and stuff. But they gave us some shit for that, for that event.
One of the last times we were down, it rained pretty heavily.
Yeah, I mean the thing of it is, a lot of those roads, they're all mud, and stuff. When it rains down there, if you're in some of these camp areas, you better have a 4x4 to get out. Because if you're in a regular car, you're stuck. You're not going to get out. You're not going to get out.
So, Joedy, since the murders happened so long ago, do you think that there's actually still anything in the park, or has it somehow moved on? Or
No, there's definitely something there. Definitely something there. It's still there. You know.
Did the ambulance incident happen at LBL?
The what?
The ambulance where someone hit a black bear and they put it in an ambulance?
Oh no, that was in Akron, which was really odd. A friend of ours who's on our team lives in Akron. Okay, and they're going down the road, and this is about 7:30 in the morning. This is a 4-lane highway. Okay, and there's the divider in the middle of the lane there. It's a very active road, and there's a police car by the divider there. And she said she was going down, and there's an animal laying there. And she drives by where she's able to see. He said that the deputy, or the officer rather, is kneeling down, looking at this thing, rubbing its face, his face. And she was able to see what it was. And she said it was this thing. She said it was a large black wolf. She said this thing was 8 feet in length. It was huge. Okay, and so she called her friend who comes up the other way, and she says, "Listen, I need you to sit there and check this out, because the police are making everybody go forward, and you can't stop." So he's coming the opposite way, and then he sees the road blocked. He sees a DNR pickup truck, 2 police cars, and an ambulance.
Well, what do you mean by DNR?
They Natural Resources, the Fish and Game, the Department of Natural Resources, Wildlife Management, and they said they have this thing on a stretcher, and they're putting it in a stretcher or in an ambulance, and everybody's seeing this thing. And she said within 20 minutes of this thing allegedly getting hit, they had the road blocked up. They had, police, the DNR, an ambulance there, and they put this thing in the ambulance. Okay, even the media, when the media that was there, their website even questioned, why would you put a bear in an ambulance, a sterile ambulance? Because you have an animal that
you ever would.
No, because you would have to take everything out and clean it. Because if this thing has rabies or it has distempered or whatever, it affected everything in that ambulance. Okay? And the funny thing about it was that the media said that ambulance service, they never heard of it. They couldn't find it. They couldn't find any information about the ambulance. So the DNR, when everybody called the police about it, the police always said, you need to call to the Ohio DNR. So the DNR released a press release with a picture of the bear. And the bear is laying on a dirt road. You see a yellow cone next to it, and it's laying on a piece of plastic. And you see these
not at all like you would.
Right. You see these big silver clips in its ears where it was tagged. Okay. And the witness said there were no tags in the air. She said, I looked at this thing's head, and it had no tags in its ear. So, and the picture that they gave was supposed to be the picture on on the road, which wasn't the road because the road's paved, and this road was, and I've got the pictures, was a dirt road. And you see garbage on the road. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, this was a major cover-up, man. I'm 100% sure that somebody hit a Dogman on that road, and when they called the police, they got everything taken care of within 30 minutes, which is very unrealistic in real life. When it comes to an animal,
they got a task force for this thing if it shows up.
Oh yeah, I know they do. They're definitely. Here's a story. This guy told me he was prior special operations in the military, we talked, for quite some time. We talked about different places we've been. We talked about commanders on different posts, and this guy was military because he knew way too much. Okay, he knew too much stuff that I knew about certain posts. So I know he had to have been there. And he was telling me that these dogmen are extraterrestrial. They are a predator type alien species that comes to Earth, and they come to Earth to hunt. They're able to blend in with wolves, and no one notices them, until they start walking upright. And they're so. He said, they're so dangerous of a species that the ones that they have in custody, they don't even keep in the country. That's how dangerous they are. He said they wear some type of body armor. They have a particular type of weapon. And here's the thing, and I got this story from him probably. Well, it was after I got home from Iraq, so it was like 2005 is when I talked to him. And then I got this other story from a soldier that was in Afghanistan last year. And both of them never met each other, and they described their armor together. I mean, to a T, what their armor was like. And both of them described them having a sword, which is like a pharaoh's sword, kind of like I'm trying to think. It looks like a large sickle,
like
almost.
A sitar?
Yeah, something similar to that. And both of them said that they had these type swords. But the guy with the one in South America where they took over this facility and they killed everybody in the facility, and they got out into like a small town or village, and they start killing the people in the village. And so they had to go down and take care of the situation, and they were able to kill them. But he said that they had a special type of weapon that they were able to use that was designed to penetrate the armor, of these things. And they were able to kill him. And he said they would make this god-awful sound when they died. Mm. He said it's the most horrifying sound you could ever hear, the scream that these things make. He said they were highly intelligent, had zero common sense. But he said they had these swords were on the back of their armor that they were able to grab, but they never used them. Because they had their type of weapon they were using. And the guy in Afghanistan told me that when they were on patrol, him and another soldier, where they broke off into twos, they were looking for insurgents. They heard a scream, and they were able to go up on the hillside, and they were able to look over, and they saw two insurgents that were already dead, and another one that was standing there. And he said that this one had this sword and just went right down, cut the guy right in two from the shoulder going down, cut him literally in two. And he said they were werewolves. He said they were wolves, that were wearing a body armor, kind of like Halo almost, and he said they were sniffing in the air like they picked up their scent. And then he said one of them kind of took his arm and patted, not but hit him, let's go. And they left, and he said, man, that scared. They said they didn't even tell anybody what they saw, because they said they're nuts. Because the thing of it is, this was in Kandahar Valley in Afghanistan. Kandahar Valley has a lot of weird shit going on there, a lot of stuff.
Like the
giants.
I've
the giants and stuff.
Supposedly there.
Yeah, and why these things were there, I don't know. Even the Canadian soldier, he saw them, in Afghanistan. It's weird, that these things are in, conflicted areas, and apparently, from what the first guy told me, that it's a new species of alien that they got in contact with, and they're a warlike, alien, but they're able to, contain them from, I guess, doing any too much damage on Earth, because the thing of it is, they don't come in groups. They either come like one or two, and and I'm sitting there thinking about this. I'm like, damn, this sounds like a movie, Predator.
It sounds just like Predator.
Now,
are you saying that this is what all the Dogmen are?
No, I'm not. I don't think so. I'm just telling you, from what we have gathered at the North American Dogman Project, is that we are getting numerous reports of this thing being flesh and blood. We get reports of this thing being supernatural, and we get reports of this thing being, extraterrestrial. So,
so it's
we're investigators. Huh?
It seems multifaceted.
It is.
Yeah.
And as investigators, you have to look into this. You have to look at all aspects of it. And the thing of it is, MUFON is looking into it.
Hey, Joedy, brother.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you.
No. Keep going. Keep going. It ain't shut us off, has it? Yeah, keep going.
It's hit the end of the timer, but we can let it keep going if you want to.
Yeah, because we can. It's still recording, but we're not listening live right now. So, but anybody listens in archive can hear the rest of this.
Okay, then we'll let it keep recording of that. You're good, brother.
Yeah, let him talk. This man's fascinating.
Very much so.
But the thing of it is, as investigators, we have to look at all aspects of this thing, and there's definitely a supernatural aspect to it, as well as, like I said, flesh and blood. You look at the stuff that's coming out of Germantown, Ohio, LBL, Wisconsin, Michigan Dogman, Pennsylvania Shenango Valley Werewolf, and Pennsylvania. These are flesh and blood, creatures.
How many sightings have there been? Do you have a number?
Sightings? Just this?
Yeah, or report?
Just this, for 2018, we've had 110 reports that has came into us. That's just to us. How many reports or how many sightings have they been out there? I would say double that, because I would say another 100% of sightings went to other researchers. Not necessarily came to us, but just last year we got about 110 reports. I mean, we've got so much stuff. We are months behind on putting them on our map, on our website. We're months behind.
Like the Dogman has seen almost 10 times more than Bigfoot now.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's the new cryptid. People are fascinated with it. They love the subject. The thing of it is, Bigfoot, everybody knows Bigfoot's not some monster that goes around and kills everybody like they are in the movies. Everybody knows that. This is an animal that does not want human contact, and he's going to let you know he doesn't want contact. He'll hurt you if you put him in that situation. Okay?
But it's the last
Dogman,
option.
Yeah, it's the last option. Dogman is an apex predator. Okay? This thing fears nothing. Okay? This is the thing that goes bump in the night, but it bites. Okay? That's the difference. Okay? Bigfoot, if you run across Bigfoot, you ran across it accidentally. Most of the time he's going to know you're there. But there's times that, things happen. Okay? You run into a Dogman, you ran into him because he wanted you to know he was there.
Where
he's stalking. Now, here's the thing that what we're gathering with reports, okay, is that these things operate like a raptor, meaning that the one will let you see him while another one will try and flank you. And that's what happened with Dave Lady on his sighting. That one let him see him, and the one he shot tried to flank him. And
yes,
we've
I
had,
remember hearing that, and he heard the loud pops when it stood up.
Yeah, and when it stood up, where the legs like popped, and that's not unusual with reports too. But we're getting reports where people are seeing them, and they they notice that something's moving, either behind them or off to their side. So it's it's a scary situation.
Now, can you speak to this? I've heard some other people tell me that there is a theory that a lot of these abandoned vehicles they find out in the middle of nowhere, doors open, nobody in it, that they think maybe these dog creatures have set a trap for people, run them off the road or anything, and then maybe drug them off.
I've heard stories like that. I mean, I've heard reports from law enforcement that where they have found vehicles with scratch marks on top of the vehicle, on the doors, where the windows were busted, there was blood on the seats, but they never found the person. There was one story, and there's actually a guy that talks about it on YouTube. Really fascinating story where a bunch of kids found a camera out in the field, and so they take the SD card out and they're looking at it, and a bunch of pictures of a guy and a woman taking pictures of each other, and they're taking pictures of like deer, and they're taking pictures of like birds and things to that effect. And then you see them where a picture's being taken and they're kind of blurry, like they're running, and you see like a blurred object in there. And there was one picture where there were these two large, what they described as like werewolves in the road, coming at them, and they're taking the pictures, and it takes pictures of them all the way coming up to them, where it actually got them, and they were able to take pictures of this thing attacking them, and that was on the camera. And when they reported it, that when the police came and took the camera and they took everything, they also had a visit from someone in the military who took their computers because because they put the SD card in the computers, and when you do that, all that information stores on your hard drive. And they took these guys' computers and they ended up giving their computers back, where their whole complete hard drive was clean. Everything
now this,
was off there.
That you're talking about, that took place at Reelfoot Lake, didn't it?
I believe that's where it was. Yeah. And this was a few years ago when this actually took place, and I mean, I heard that from law enforcement officer, and it was, like I said, it was really odd. Is that I heard about it again on someone had it on a YouTube show. Excuse me, where they were talking.
I think one had done that.
Who?
Dixie Cryptid.
Yeah, Dixie Cryptid. Yeah, that guy he talked about it on there, and he also talked about a couple incidents that was on there where abandoned cars, like you said, that were destroyed and off the side of the road, were all scratched up and stuff. I mean, I talked to a Louisiana police officer that was going down a road one night, a dirt road, and he saw something in the road eating something, and he goes right up on it, and he said when he realized what it was, he said he said it was a lookaroo, and he backs his vehicle up, and he said the thing's running at his vehicle as he's backing it up. He said it jumped on the hood of the police car, and it's trying to smash the windshield, and it's hitting the lights and everything, and he was able to swing the car around and throw it off the vehicle, and he said he got it on his dash cam. Goes to his department, reports it to his shift sergeant. He's shaken up, shows him the video, Shift sergeant tells him to go home for the night and just come back tomorrow. Okay, the guy comes in work the following night. His vehicle's completely repaired. No dash cam video. His shift sergeant's acting like he has no idea what he's talking about. And then finally tells him, "You don't talk about this. You'll be fired." And I mean,
wow.
he told, yeah. I mean, he said, "This is nuts." He goes, "Anything ever happens like that again," he goes, "I'm going to go home and download it onto my computer, and then I'm going to erase it."
Ever see it.
Yeah, and he said it's nuts. I mean, they're threatening psychological evaluation on them, and he goes, they were doing it where I would lose my certification as a police officer. So he goes, I played their game to keep my job.
I think there's probably a lot of that going on. That's why you don't hear about it as much as you do.
No, I mean, and that's true. It is.
There's no telling how much good footage and pictures have been swept under the rug.
Well, I'm telling you, I truly believe that the federal government has a facility, kind of like that movie Iceman Cometh. You remember that movie where they found the caveman buried in ice, and they brought him to a facility, and they revived him, and they put him in that environment, which he didn't, and they were observing him, and he had no idea what was going on until he realized what, I mean, they would send deers in there to let them hunt them and all this other stuff. I think we have something like that. Our government has something like that where they're monitoring Bigfoot and possibly even Dogman and, and things like that, where they're huge, like a, football stadium size, where, it has water, has lakes, it's got running, animals in there. It's got woods. They were able to make it rain, make it hot.
Simulated environment.
Simulated environment.
Almost a Hunger Games environment.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah.
Now, Joedy, have you ever seen one yourself?
No, I not a dog man. I mean, I believe I heard one time. The area where I heard this thing, I smelled something that was odd that I never smelled before, and I knew it was out there, but I saw a Bigfoot. I was actually in the Army at the time, and there was, 3 other, soldiers with me, and we were in one of the old Blazers, which they still called Jeep at the time, and we were coming from a range, and we had ammunition and everything with us to take back to the ASP, which was the animal supply point. And it was on a Friday, and if we didn't get there before it closed, we would have to stay in that vehicle until Monday morning, and it wasn't going to happen. So we decided to go off-road to get there in time. And we were going down a wooded area, which is a no-go on a military installation. You do not go off-road. And the wood line was getting really heavy. And we got to the point where we decided to go ahead and back up and go back up on the road. And as we were backing up, we saw something move. And we actually thought we might have hit a tree, and the tree was falling. So we stopped. And this thing was probably 12, maybe 15 feet in front of us. And it was still daylight out. Okay, this is in northern Michigan. Okay, in July, so at 8:30 in the evening, it's still light out in the summer. And this thing looked at us, and we're watching it, and it was like it glided. The way it was moving, it was like it's glided, and extremely muscular. It was an older one. I feel it was an older male. He had, kind of hair missing, like on the satchel crest of the head, the back,
right,
up on his shoulders, his arms, and the chest. And the skin was like flaky, like mange, that's how his body looked. His eyes were almost like a blackish red. So no white whatsoever in his eyes. Very human face, massive jaw, nose, very human but kind of flat. High, eyebrow, but like I said, very, very human looking. Reddish brown in color, but like I said, he was just massive. His body, I mean, it was just, he was cut, and I think he's, they're like that because, how they're, how they're built, and he looked at us and we looked and he just walked, and that was it. We heading back to Cantonment, to get the ammunition, and we got it in, heading back to the barracks. We didn't say anything to each other. We parked the vehicle. We decided not to say anything. We were afraid of getting a Section 8 or something crazy, because probably a week before that, during exercise called lanes, where officers observe you doing maneuvers, when they were going back to their tent, because they're out there, because when you're out in the field, they have their tents out in the field away from you, and so they're not in proximity of anybody else. And as they were going back to their tent, they saw one by their tent, and they reported it. And I remember that they got a lot of flack for that, for reporting what they saw. So we decided not to say
that trap.
No, and I didn't say anything for like 15 years, until I wrote the book Traces of the Grassman, and I talk about it in that book. And that was the first time I ever said anything, to anybody about it. Let me correct that. I told one person prior to that, and that was Linda Moulton Howe. And she talked about it when she was on Art Bell show, and she talked about it. I allowed her to do that. But that was like the only time. And that was like 96 is when she told that story. My sighting was in 93. So.
Can you still get a hold of a copy of that book?
Do what?
Can you still get a hold of a copy of that book? Purchase it?
Yeah,
somewhere?
it's on Amazon. Yeah.
We may have to check that out, Bob.
Yeah, it's Traces of the Grassman. That the publishing company that did that one is no longer in service. So I think Amazon bought them all. But if not, if you don't find that, if it's not available, look for the one called Grassman, The Hunt for the North American Great Ape. That's a revised copy of that book, and the same story's in there.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so you can get those. You can get those on Amazon. So
we're always adding to our library.
If I had copies, I'd send them to you. It's just I'm out. I gave a bunch of them to a bunch of libraries, and a couple parks asked for copies of them, and I just hadn't had time to replenish my supply. So.
Now, are you guys going to be at any upcoming cons or anything?
We're going to be at the I can't remember the name of it now. Harlan Crypticon in Harlan, Kentucky, on the 8th of June.
There's one in Harlan?
Yeah, I think it's Harlan.
I know there's
Crypticon.
one coming up in Lexington in September 8th, the 7th and 8th, I think.
Yeah, that's regular Crypticon. That's regular Crypticon. This one is Harlan Crypticon. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about trying to get a table at the one in Lexington, do my first con there, or maybe one of the other ones there. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah,
that'd be very cool.
I've never been to that one. The kind of funny thing, that particular one in Lexington that's. I don't like talking about people or saying anything, but that's a friends only type thing. If you're not part of that crowd, you're not going to be at that conference. I'm sorry, but that's the best way to say it, because they've had the same speakers for 3 years in a row. Okay, same exact speakers for 3 years in a row, and they're not having anybody, except who is, their friends. And I'm sorry to say it, but that's the truth, about that particular event. That one.
What about the one in Harlan? How hard is it to get in there?
That I know they're looking for. It's Harlan, Kentucky, Cryptid Con. It's
write that down, son.
Yeah, Harlan, Kentucky. I can send you. Yeah, I know they're still probably looking for vendors for that one. June 8th.
That's out in coal mine country.
Yeah. My dad was in the coal mines out there. His dad, and my uncles, they are all in them coal mines out there, and they're all preachers and stuff. So. Yeah, that's my dad's hometown. Yeah, on that one.
Actually, the same town from one of our favorite TV shows, Justified.
Yes.
Which one?
The TV show Justified.
Yep. No, never heard of that one.
Oh, if you've never heard of it, check it out. It was great. It had Timothy Oliphant and Walton Goggins in it. Very great show.
Yeah, definitely looking at that. Definitely looking at that.
Well, Joedy, it has been amazing having you on, man. You've been one of my favorite shows so far. I've had a few good ones, but I really like this one.
Yeah, any time. I mean, we're getting new stuff all the time. Anytime you want to, you want to talk or anything, just let me know. We have a female team member that lives down there in Kentucky, and stuff, and she actually seen Dogman. She actually seen a Bigfoot. Get her on the show. Sometime.
Yeah, we would love to do that. If she ever needs anybody to go out with her, since we're this close, just have her holler at us.
Oh, definitely will. I mean, like I said, when this project happens and we get down there to LBL when we do the filming for that, I'll keep you updated and posted on that.
Yeah, that's
cool.
great.
Sure.
And we're not the kind of people that's so exclusive that we don't like to hang out with other guys.
No, not at all.
We're kind of we're to the point that we accept everybody, but when you do an investigation, you got to keep the information that the witness doesn't want out. And then you have some researchers that just they don't give a crap. They don't give a crap.
No, so I trust you enough to tell you their story. You've got to keep their secret.
Got to keep the secret, and we have a lot. I mean, I've got so many really good stories right now we can't even put out, and stuff because people just don't want them out because of their positions that they're in. I mean, some of these people are in government, and state, government, and city government, and they just don't want the story out. They're afraid of losing their job, not getting reelected, so. Yeah, but definitely, whenever you're ready to want to go back on here in, a few months or something like that, we'll definitely make it happen.
Well, all right, brother. Well, we thank you very much. And
anytime, buddy.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All righty, Jason. We appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Sure, I enjoyed it.
Take care, guys.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Joedy.
All right, buddy.
Take care, guys.
Well,
Thank you.
That was a great show tonight. We run a little long, but, man, with the subject matter, how could you not run long? Did you enjoy that show, Jason?
I thought it was great. I enjoyed listening to him.
Yes. Well, guys, that wraps up another one. Until next week. Elijah, who's our next show?
Well, next week is actually Easter, so we don't actually have anybody scheduled. But the 27th, on a Saturday night, we have Sheila Kelly scheduled. And the Sunday, the next day, the 28th, we have Christian McLeod scheduled. So we kind of have a
He's
double
with
whammy.
Asheville Cryptid Society.
Asheville Cryptid.
Asheville Cryptid, yeah,
Society.
awesome guy. So we got
Very
a couple
awesome
of good things coming up, and we will not be on next week due to Easter, but we'll be back the next week. And either one of you guys got any final remarks?
Well, that little bit of time off, we should be preparing some other cool stuff for y'all.
Right. We're trying to get ready to maybe see if we can get in a couple of cons, as vendors or even speakers if someone wants us.
We're working on merchandise. Got some business
we
cards
got a lot
on
of
the way.
things going on.
A whole lot of things.
Oh, hey, I was going to ask you guys something. Would you mind if I had a shot at producing some a theme song for the show?
That'd be cool.
Well, we would probably love having something added to it.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Okay, I'll see what I can come up with.
Well, sure.
Sounds great, brother. All right, well, until next time, everybody, stay groovy.
Stay groovy, y'all.
See ya.